Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
Derk Harron.
That's right, you guys. Dirk is here joining me today for something that Fuego is normally here to do, but Fuego is so busy right now trying to maintain his Stephen King coverage, stay up on the Dark Tower, and binge American Horror Story and catch up on Supernatural for the Phoenix Comic Con in just a couple weeks. So, Dirk has stepped in to help us resurrect our comics reviews.
With gloves on.
Yes, with gloves on, which is exactly how he reads the comics, which is how you know he's hardcore about making sure they stay pristine, which is after my own heart. There's a reason I still get 9.6 gradings on the comics I send in to get graded even after having them for 15 years. So it's not because I'm not careful. So I have a tremendous respect for a man that is that careful with his comics. But the reason we're here today, Dirk, especially you, because for this series, you actually introduced me to it. You let me know about it for the very first time because as much as I love comics, I haven't been able to make it to the store as regularly the past few months by doing horror show stuff and my day job and all that. So first off, thank you for bringing this to my attention, but we're going to do our typical comics review, you guys, which is, we're going to actually make it a little bit more like our movie reviews. So we're going to talk about the overall thoughts, the story of the book, and then we'll talk about the artwork, the colors, the lettering, all that good stuff, and then we'll let you know if it's worth your time. But what are we discussing today, Dirk?
Hookjaw.
Yes.
Which is a comic that originally came out in the 70s. Mm-hmm. And, I had seen it in the store, and I just kind of overlooked it.
This new version, you mean?
Yeah, this new version. Mm-hmm. And it took me a while to pick it up, actually. Mm-hmm. And I saw that there was still a number one available, so I was like, the comic book store too that I got it from, they were switching stores, so they had this big sale going on, so I ended up picking up just a bunch of random stuff, and this was one of them, and I had to tell Cecil about it because of his love of sharks.
Yes.
And there's this backstory behind the comic book series that I had no idea about.
I didn't either. And that's one of the interesting things about this series in single issues, because this was a 5-issue series, mm-hmm. limited run, this Hookjaw reemergence. Mm-hmm. And in the back of every issue, what's interesting about it is they actually have articles about things related to the issue, whether it's something to do with great white sharks, or the summer of killings, or the fact that we had 117 shark attacks in 2016, you guys, 8 of them being fatal. That is more than we've ever had on record. The last record was, I think, 93 or 98, so that's scary stuff. But I found out about that in the 5th issue of Hookjaw, which actually just came out this week as we record this. So we have just completed this series, and we want to talk all about it and tell you guys about it. So my overall thoughts were, I was so glad you gave it to me, because I literally, you loaned me the first issue, I think, at first.
Yeah,
and
right.
Then I read it, and I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I need to read more of this, because it essentially is a little bit of a Jaws kind of, it's not even really the same story as Jaws,
yeah.
Only in as much as there is one big bad shark that is the leader of some other sharks, which is what's interesting about it. So do you want to overall thoughts first. I really dug it. The artwork was amazing. The gore was killer. It's definitely a mature comic.
Yeah.
But yeah, so overall, I am hugely grateful to you for bringing it to my attention, so much so that we have 2 issue number 5s here, because one is not mine and one is Dirk's. So we both have the series now because I had to rush out and get it. So your overall thoughts, Dirk?
I loved it. I thought it was actually, it's pretty comical.
Yeah.
There's just so much dialogue, and that's one thing that I love about a comic book is where there's quite a bit to read. The visuals were great, but
it's not necessarily decompressed like a lot of comic storytelling is nowadays.
Yeah, and especially if you're going to be paying $4 or $5 an issue, I want more from a buck. Even if the artwork is amazing,
right?
But no, there was just some really funny banter, great dialogue throughout the comic, and then the storyline. There was so many like twists and turns, and there was like lots of characters for.
There were actually. That's actually one of my negatives about it. Honestly, is that there was an abundance of characters. But overall, good, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it, and I knew that Cecil would be hooked.
Yeah, and pun not intended, I guess.
Yeah, not until you.
So yeah, basically the story is. Well, why don't you go ahead and tell the story, Dirk? Because you probably remember the intricacies a little bit better than I do.
Well, you just read it, though.
Well, yes and no. I mean, yeah, I did in the past week. But I've read a lot in the past week. I'm catching up on stuff.
Basically, what happens is it's like the Greenpeace group is following this group of sharks.
Great white sharks. Called the Virgin Sisters.
And they've got trackers on them, so they're out in the ocean, just seeing how they're doing. And
there is, I think, part of the confusion you had before we started this review, as far as them being marine biologists, there was a marine biologist involved with the crew, and so he was trying to study the fact, or she rather was trying to study the fact that do great white sharks work as a unit rather than, sure, they might travel in packs, but do they work as a unit rather than just individual sharks out for themselves and they stay out of each other's way?
Yeah, because the thing is that not too much is known about great white sharks.
Believe it or not, no. As many movies have been made about it over the last 50 years, there is very little known about their behavior and their socialization and even their pregnancy. I mean,
there's no footage of like them breeding. Like they don't really know.
No, there is no. You're right. No one has caught footage of actual great white shark sex.
Yeah.
But they have. There is limited footage of great white shark birthing. So we do know that it happens, obviously, because there's still a lot out there. They're not just a bunch of immortal sharks roaming around. But yeah, it's really an interesting setup. And what they don't realize when they're following this pack of virgin sisters, and they say virgin sisters because it's a group of sharks that just aren't breeding, but they're traveling together.
Right.
So they're trying to find out more about it, and they're actually studying them in, I don't know if it's technically Somalia area, but I know there's Somali-like pirates that are involved throughout the series. I mean, basically this... I even think they call it Green War, not Green Peace, because they were like, war against the people against the green. Like, they took it to a bit of an extreme. But, they get boarded by pirates, and even the leader of the crew, she's like, this happens all the time. They come on, they see we don't have anything worth stealing, and then they go away. But it's another time we get introduced to some more characters, which is this group of pirates, which actually employs a younger pirate as a translator, who provides a lot of the comic relief of the book, actually.
Yeah.
Go ahead, pick up from there.
And they have their own story about how this big payload that came through, that one of the pirates, like the father
of one of the main ones,
one of the main pirates, had took this payload. They had no idea what was inside of it, but they knew that he just went missing after they were able to steal this big what was it?
Crate. I mean, it was a big shipping container, really.
Shipping container.
And it was full of meat.
Pigs and
frozen pigs and cattle and things like that.
So what happens is there's that story kind of going on. As soon as they board, these CIA agents come and save the day, but actually kind of ruin their situation because at first they were about to leave. That was the thing, was that they do board the ship quite a bit, and then they realize they're not worth anything, so they leave them alone. But then
the CIA shows up.
CIA operative comes and thinks that he's saving the day, but he actually endangers them further. Then, the pirates end up taking them captive,
and employing them to, well, not employing them, not paying them, but forcing them to dive to find out what happened with this sunken ship and the shipping container and what's on the inside of the shipping container, which we won't spoil or anything like that or how it resolves, but we will just talk about the overall thoughts on the story, which I thought it was a bit convoluted.
There was just so much going on.
Yeah, and that was part of the problem because it was only 5 issues that they were trying to cram all this into. And I think, like, when you're trying to deal with, you know, pirate Greenpeace espionage stories, and just throwing sharks in, but it feels like the sharks are the main plot, so then it makes the rest of it seem unnecessary. Like, I didn't care about any of that other stuff. I only cared about what was going on with the sharks. So it was a bit of a double-edged sword. They're trying to build a deep story, and at the same time, I'm just like, get to the sharks. Yeah. So what did you think of it overall?
Yeah, I think that the sharks did kind of take like a back seat, but when they did show up, it was great.
So
there was so many great kills in it, memorable kills. Like,
definitely, yeah. What's interesting is you can see on the cover right here, Hookjaw refers to this main legendary shark that actually has what looks like a harpoon through its underside of its jaw, and it comes out of its jaw. And what's really cool is it actually has learned how to use this, because what's really cool is I found out the reason I texted Derk after reading the first issue. I was like, Derk, I gotta read this book, mostly because it's about killer sharks, but also because the main one thinks. Like, we get to see the thoughts of the shark when it's just like flesh, wrong flesh, kill, murder. Like, it's so cool because it makes the main shark a bit of a slasher, and that's obviously right up my alley. And not only that, but he's learned how to use the harpoon. So if there's someone like looking over the edge of the boat, suddenly they can be speared with the harpoon, and the shark will just take him off the boat, and then it's basically like a kebab that he's just like while it's on the harpoon. Like, it's so cool, and they do not shy away from the gore. And you said when the sharks show up, it's great. And namely, for me, that's because the sharks and the ocean were the best aspects of the artwork in this book.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many comics that deal with like being in the ocean, and just seeing the sea life and everything.
Well, and I mean, think about that as a viewer. You know, how would you be able to accurately get across that they're underwater without having to just put, scuba bubbles by everyone and just drawing fish? Like, you have to change the actual, panels and the colors you use and the design of the panels and things like that.
Yeah, you really got it across that, they're in this murky water, and everything is just like the colors are so dark, and that was what was interesting, is that, like, you really had to pay attention because you could see them in the background or something like that, and then
the shadows and
stuff, and because usually when they're up on the boat, it's just like all these bright colors and everything, but once they get into the water, it's
like this green overtone. But it's cool, like, they go so far as to show like particulates in the water, and like they'll be obscured by smudges in the color and things like that, which are things that you would see if you were underwater. Like, there's these weird things that catch your eye. So I thought it was amazing, and you automatically knew the difference of who was where and how. What part of the problem, though, is while you knew who was where, like, they're in the ocean and they're up top, I actually, because there were so many characters, had trouble keeping who was where straight. Like, I couldn't necessarily follow who was talking and who was saying what, because they're in scuba gear with only the masks, and so like you're like trying to just piece together the dialogue bubbles, who belongs to what.
Yeah, but I felt like, once they were up top on the boat, like you kind of got a sense of how the character talks, how he, especially the CIA,
the blonde, action hero
wannabe. Like, I could tell the bickering between him and the oceanographer. She didn't say much too. That was what was kind of cool. Like, she always just had something like quick to say to like kind of like put him in his place.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know. Like I didn't have as much trouble with it so much with like when they get in there scuba diving.
And it wasn't
scenes.
even just telling them apart that was the problem. If I'm completely honest, the sharks were done so well artistically and so almost realistically that the top, like all the people and everything, felt like really early, not quite honed Sam Keith. Like not great. Everyone's face is a little bit weird shape. Like it wasn't the most crisp or polished when it comes to the people. But it almost seemed like a whole different artist did the sharks, because the sharks were so well done and so well represented. And you can see the scars on them, and they're almost a painterly aesthetic, the sharks, whereas the other people seem drawn versus the painted sharks. Like it felt disconnected to me, and which didn't detract from my enjoyment of the overall series, but it is a point I have to make.
Well, I think that comes down to the colorist.
You think
because,
so?
Because he definitely used some filters and used like
for the underwater stuff.
For the underwater stuff.
So you think it was just the crispness of the out of water stuff of the people that was bothering me?
Yeah, because the drawings are kind of loose.
Yeah.
But
That's why. Is that how artists say a little bit wonky?
Yeah, it's not as tight.
Because Derk is an artist as well, so he might have a bit more of a forgiving eye than I do as far as that goes.
But I think that the comic comes across pretty well with its art. But yeah, definitely the underwater sequences. That's what you look forward to in the comic, definitely.
Mm-hmm. And the gore.
Yeah,
because there was lots of that, and really cool stuff. Like not just your typical run-of-the-mill someone being, having their leg or arm bitten off or even bitten in half, because there is that. Yeah. But I mean, there's in the 5th issue especially, there's one particular double-page spread which is amazing and has a lot of graphic detail that's really fun for gore fans. And I sound really psychotic talking about how much I really like this.
Hey, we're doing a horror show.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, let's talk about the we talked about the colors and how it works with the artwork. I mean, the lettering I thought was serviceable. It didn't necessarily stand out in particular. What did you think?
Except for
the shark.
So the shark's
lettering. That's true. So you know what then? Yeah, I mean that automatically raises it a level, because it felt like the sharks were lettered by someone else entirely too. So maybe that's just a really talented letterer. I imagine
it might have been drawn too. The lettering,
so?
and then with the colorist comes back and adds like some little extra details and stuff.
Yeah, that's you're probably right. Now we should probably go ahead and shout out the people actually involved. So, just to give you guys actual credit and prop, it was proper credit rather. The series was written by Cy Spurrier. It was drawn by Connor Boyle. The colors were done by Julia Brusco, or it's Giulia. So I don't know if that's Julia or Gulia or what it could be. It's foreign, probably. Oh boy, maybe this wasn't a good idea. And then the letters were done by Rob Steen. So those are the names that are on the top of every issue, so they deserve proper credit for bringing this lovely independent horror gem straight out of Titan Comics, you guys. It's not one of the bigger publishers. It's not even one of the bigger small publishers like Image or Oni.
It's a British.
Well, that's probably why we don't see that many of them over here. It's a British imprint, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I did not know that.
Oh!
No! No! All right, I'm switching that with your copy later. But yeah, so there you go, guys. That is going to be our thoughts on Hookjaw. Any final thoughts on it?
I just check it out. I know that the trade's coming in pretty.
Yes,
pretty
it's going to be arriving. I think they said in August, which is just in time for Shark Week.
Yeah.
So it might even be a little bit before that, but I thought that's what I saw.
And I know that they have a a collection coming out of like the old 70s.
Really? Because it
comic.
wasn't a Hookjaw comic. It was like Tales to something. It was like
Yeah.
one of those.
Yeah, it was a short story that was like
It was an anthology book, right? But they did say that Hookjaw was like the series ended up getting canceled for a short while because Hookjaw was so exploitative with its gore and everything, even back in the 70s. So I think I will seek out that collection when it comes out because I'm dying. If this, is the kind of gore that I can expect from 70s comics, I know they were unrelenting back then in some stuff.
I've seen some of the artwork and it was pretty great.
Awesome. So we are going to check that out, you guys. In the meantime, again, you might still be able to get your hands on some of these issues at your local comic store. Again, number 5 just came out this past week as we record this, the first week of May. So check it out and at the very least order the trade on Amazon or wherever you want so you get it in your hot little hands as soon as it arrives, because from the artwork you've seen me pull up and from everything we've said, you guys need to check this out if you are fans of shark scary stories. So, thank you guys very much for watching. I've been Cecil Laird.
Derek Harron.
And until next time, make sure you comment down below with whether you're going to check this out. And while you're down there, click the link in the description box to go to our TeePublic site where you can get access to a shirt with our horror show design, our Coexist design, or even a shirt with our very own mascot, Horrific Harry. You can probably even find some cool Jaws mashup shirts on there.
If you want to check out some of my artwork too, check out dirkart.com.
Absolutely do that because it is very talented work, and you can is your Thing podcast stuff up there?
Oh, I need to get that on there.
You need to get that on there, yes. Because he did the artwork for the John Carpenter cast. All the episodes that came out, he did a new piece of artwork for them, and each episode focused on a different John Carpenter movie, so you get to see Dirk's rendition of a representation of that film, and it's awesome.
On my Facebook stuff, but,
okay.
But it's not on
Put
the
it
official.
on dirkart.com. All right, guys, so thanks again for watching, and remember, stay scared.